following podcast is a Jill Divine Media production.
Our world has become 100% about convenience. It's been 100% about slap a Band-Aid on the problem and let's hope that that fixes it, and not really learning how to be healthy and holistic in the first place. It's the medical world has gotten so big, medication has gotten so huge that we've learned that convenience of just taking something when we don't feel good, as opposed to let's maintain a healthy diet so that we don't get sick, has become what the whole world is about.
This episode of Two Kids and a Career is brought to you by Elemental Esthetics. You can be guaranteed that your experience is going to be unique and customized to your specific needs. See how they can help you focus on natural beauty enhancements by visiting elementalesthetics.com. Hi there, and welcome to Two Kids and a Career. I'm Jill Divine. As an entrepreneur, wife, and mama, the daily grind of trying to build a business while taking care of kids and trying to maintain a healthy connection with my hubby, it's a lot. With this podcast, you're going to hear candid conversations with other moms, parenting experts who can share their knowledge and insight, or you'll just hear me rambling to get it all out. There's going to be tears, there's going to be laughter, but most importantly, there will be support. Take a listen and connect with me so we can grow and learn from one another. This is Two Kids and a Career.
Welcome to this week's episode of Two Kids and a Career. My guest this week, well, we met through the podcasting world, which can kind of seem like a strange world, but also very isolating world. And then you just like, how do you even meet each other in the podcasting world? And I don't really know, but I'd like to welcome Alycia to my podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm excited to be chatting again.
I know. I'm so excited to talk to you. I have loved talking to you and reaching out to you and seeing things through your Instagram posts and your blog posts, but really lately have for a number of reasons. And it's really cool that we've reconnected that way. And so it just shows you that as much as I have this love-hate relationship with social media, it does work in some situations. So if you, by any chance, Alycia, were just feeling like, I just need to hang this one up, don't, because you have a lot of valuable information.
Oh, thank you. I think everybody has a love-hate relationship with social media.
Worst.
It's like a cruel world, but so much there's so much great stuff that comes out of it, and I just focus on that stuff.
Yep, that's what I'm going to try to do as well. Well, I would like to talk a little bit about, why you're even on this podcast. And you and your husband, you are the creators of Coffee, Cupcakes, and Kids. And I can relate to all three of those things.
They're all amazing.
They are all amazing. So I have had the pleasure to get to know you a little bit and then even read a little bit more on your blog. And I will tell you that I didn't initially want you to come on, and I don't even think I told you about this, but I didn't initially want you to come on to talk about your backstory. I wanted to talk about health and why I'm so fired up to talk to you. But I think that it's important that we do talk about your backstory, because that's what this is all about. Like, it's all about being transparent and making sure people don't feel isolated. And if and I'm specifically referencing that you were married before, and sometimes it's easy for people to just want to be like, nope, I don't need to talk about that because I'm in a happy place. But I think that sometimes, even if you are in a happy place, of course, if it's going to trigger things, that's one thing. But you sometimes start to question yourself and you're like, okay, I am not living this life that I just can't keep up. I can't do things. So I'd like to start there and talk a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into the health side.
Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, it's funny because my husband and I probably talk about it almost every single day, where both of us were in the past, where we are now, and how amazing our lives have become together, and just this crazy journey we both were on. Yes, I was married before, which my 7-year-old may or may not ever know.
We'll get there when we get there, right?
Yeah, when we get there. It hasn't happened yet, and I don't plan on it anytime soon. However, I was very young. I was in a very different place. And I came to a place where I was not willing to settle for the worst case scenario just because I was married, just because I didn't ever want to say I was divorced. I didn't want to have to admit I was wrong. All of these wonderful reasons to stay. And I couldn't, I guess in the end, just couldn't live with being miserable. And I definitely, at that point in my life, was not healthy, even though I maybe thought I was. Being in that kind of mind frame also takes a toll on your mind, your body, your spirit, the whole works. And I basically cut my losses early. We had no kids. We had no attachments other than we were married. And I said, this isn't for me. And it's funny because my current husband, we've known each other since fifth grade. And which is weird still to say. And we laugh about it all the time. Like we could have cut out a lot of baloney out of both of our lives if we if we just we stuck together, But yeah, so we've known each other since we were 10, and we know pretty much everything about each other. And we had reconnected after I split up with my ex. He was randomly doing a play in New York City. He's an actor. We hadn't talked in 10 years, and we met up, and we have been hanging out every single day ever since. So
it's so cool. Like what you said too about, you could have cut out all the baloney.
Yeah.
I know that you also wrote about it on your blog that baloney needed to happen. And that's one of those things that sometimes when I think about certain things in my life and I'm like, would I do that differently? And then I stop and I go, wait a minute. If I did that differently, I wouldn't be in this particular spot. Or what happened? And it's very easy for many people to go down that rabbit hole. But I have tried to, any of those thoughts that come up about a specific event or incident in my life that I'm like, okay, but now what did you learn from it? What would have happened? Because I think about all the time, oh my gosh, why did I like that guy and give so much of energy to that guy? But there's a reason. And so I enjoyed that you mentioned that as well.
Yeah. And, I listen, just like everybody else, I do catch myself sometimes saying, man, it would have been nice had I not gone through that. Or, why did I put so much effort and time into trying to make that work when really I should have just listened to my inner and said, this really isn't a good idea. Maybe just not do it. But had I not, I definitely wouldn't be where I was now. And, again, this is like another conversation my husband and I have all the time. And, and in his case too, he was in this long relationship, and it was just, we laugh about it because had we both not gone through those horrendous situations, we wouldn't be as amazing as we are together where we are right now. Had we not gone through those things, like maybe if we didn't go through them independently, we'd be going through them together right now because we didn't learn that lesson already. So it's just, we went through what we went through, and, we often think about it. We talk about it. We laugh about it, which I think is very important, that we don't get stuck on this, man, I really wish it didn't happen. And it's like so upsetting that I went through this horrible phase. But we had to go through it to get to where we are together. And, we grew a lot both in those situations. So when we got together, it was like, listen, we don't want baloney. I just went through a ton of that. Let's just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
And here we are. So, yeah.
Well, and I didn't necessarily know that you guys were, I know you guys had met when you were in fifth grade, but that you described him as your boyfriend, your first boyfriend, if you
he
know
was.
What it was.
Yeah.
And so I laugh because I remember my first quote unquote boyfriend was in 5th grade. And I remember like wearing his jacket as a badge of honor and like thinking I was so cool that
Uh-huh.
we were together and I had a boyfriend. And I can
Yeah.
remember certain things from 5th grade that like, I'm like, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
really, for real, the teachers had to have been laughing at us. Like, you guys are such suckers and you have no
Yeah.
idea. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah. So we were 10 years old in 5th grade, and I had a birthday party, and my mom was like, you can invite, 5 friends, and we're all going to go out to the movies and go like out to eat. And I was like, all right, cool. And he was my boyfriend. So obviously he was one of the 5, but he still remembers what he wore. It's hilarious. And, he tried holding my hand in the movie theater, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not that kind of girl. What are you doing? It was just really funny. So we literally remember all of those things. And it's just, he's like,
Yeah.
and you broke my heart and broke up with me. And I was like, you were trying to touch me. It's just funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love 5th grade. It was one of my favorite
Yeah.
grades. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you two live now?
So now we live in West Hollywood, far away from where we grew up. We grew up in New York, and when we reconnected, we were both in New York City, and we lived there for a while. And then when we had our daughter, our entire life just kind of fell apart. We were like, what is going on? We don't know what's happening. We have a kid. We don't know what to do with her. Like, so we ended up, that's a whole other discussion. We won't get into that, but
Okay.
the joys of being a first-time mother and feeling like you have no idea what you're doing. That's always fun.
Oh yeah. I know when they like, go ahead, go home. And you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. It was just, oh gosh, the things that went on. And anyway, so we left New York. And we were in New York City then, but our parents both live in the same town still in upstate New York. And we ended up leaving the city, going upstate. And we thought, oh, hey, we'll spend, like a couple months up there. The grandparents can see the baby and spend some time with her. And our idea was to come out west because, my husband's a writer and an actor. And it was like a natural progression. We had already made movies in New York. So it just seemed like logical. And then we ended up being in upstate New York for like over 2 years. And it was an interesting, crazy ride. But now we are in West Hollywood, and I feel like we are living our best life. And it's amazing.
Yeah, 2 totally opposite sides.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. So
literally, yeah.
How is it in West Hollywood?
When we first came here, it was weird. We did not realize what we were walking into. We didn't even really know where we were coming in California. And we've learned, we've been here for 5 years now, and we've learned in these 5 years that basically where we ended up moving was like the Manhattan of New York City, if we want to compare it. And there's a lot happening here. There's constant sirens. There's lots of chaos. There's lots of people. But we're only 30 minutes from the beach, if that, and we are obsessed with the weather, and we love it here. It took some adjusting, a lot of adjusting, but I think this last year, we really felt like we're not leaving. We love it. This is our home, and started planting like more serious roots here. So,
and what does that mean? Or how does that look?
How does that look? Well, okay. So because we live in a major city, we are in an apartment. We live in an apartment building, and that can seem like not like a home. It can seem like there's any chance you could be moving. Something could happen and you're just like, I'm out of here. And it's not like, you're in a house and you have a backyard, and it's a very different life. So this past year, we really felt like, because we're not going anywhere, like we bought a new couch and we started like arranging the apartment to where we're not like, this is our apartment. It's like, this is our home. And we've started exploring more and going away on weekend trips to mountains that we've never seen here, and just feeling more like, okay, this is our house. This is where we live, and we have no intention of leaving. So I think for us, that's really, what made it more of a home for us, as opposed to like, oh, our home is back in New York. We're from New York. Like, this is not like we're Californians.
That makes
So,
actually a lot of sense because just kind of ironically, that has happened with my husband and me. So, I mean, we are
mm,
in a home and
mm-hmm,
we've been in this home probably like 5 years or so. Man, there's a
mm-hmm.
lot of similarities happening here now that I'm speaking out loud. But it was one of those where we were like, this is great for us right now. And
Yeah.
eventually we want to have land and we want to do all these things and this
Mm-hmm.
and this and this. And so I feel like I have not treated the home inside and out like I really want it to be my home. And my
Yes.
husband and I were
Yes.
talking the other day and this has been a conversation that's been going on for a little while, but it was kind of one of those, where we live, if we build, then we're not going to get the kind of backyard that we currently have. And we love our
Mm,
backyard. And it's like, okay, you have to start outweighing positives, negatives, what's
mm,
going to work. And so I said, all right, I need to feel like it's my home. So if that
yes.
means I want to whitewash the fireplace because I want it to look different in here, or I want to add some decor, or I want to think about redoing the cabinets because they aren't ours. I mean,
Yeah.
this was a older house. Like this is what we need to do to make it feel like it's our own. And
Yes.
so I know exactly what you're talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
you just don't ever know. You don't know. I mean, maybe there is a
Yeah.
possibility in the future, but right now I can't keep living like that.
Yes, yes. It's like that constant, I'm living for something's going to happen in the future, but while I'm waiting for that, I'm not doing anything else. I'm not making this feel like my own. I'm not, and I think a piece of that also we got more serious about because of our daughter. Like, she looks at this as her home. She's lived in this apartment for 5 years. She's only 7. So most of her life, this is her home. And when we started looking at it like that, we were like, okay, we need to start making this our own. Let's not keep thinking like, oh, we're going to be moving. Well, when we move into a house, when we do this, when we do that. And I think a big part of that also came for us because for the last like year and a half, every single day, our routine has been we get up in the morning and as a family, we read the Bible together. We read and we started at the beginning and we said, you know what, we're going to sit down and we're going to read the whole thing. And that's like another part of our journey that is very, very close to us and near and dear to us and kind of something that has changed our perspective on a lot of things has been reading and becoming closer to God and finding that even though we grew up together in the same church and we grew up going to Sunday school and, yes, we believe and yes, we have faith, this has brought our faith and our belief and our understanding to a completely different level. Whereas where we might be worried that like we're going to get a rent increase or we're going to move or there's like riots going on, we might get shook. And now nothing bothers us. We are so strong together also as a family unit that it's like I think that also contributed to like this is our home, this is where we live. Like we need to be planting roots. This is where he brought us. This is our journey. We need to embrace it. And every single day we need to give thanks and we need to praise him for that because we wouldn't be here without him as well. So
Ah,
it's like we've gone through a complete transformation in our relationship, in our faith, in our health, with our daughter who we also homeschool, like that's gone to another level. It's just I can't talk enough about how many things have changed for the good in our lives. And those are the things that we focus on. And it's just like our hearts and our spirit just feels so full because of it.
I, don't- I,
Yeah.
I'm speechless. Yeah, because it's not absolutely not what I expected you to say. I don't know why. It's just not I mean, it wasn't a topic,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you know why I think and you just recently learned this, and I've been recently talking about this on this podcast, is that I have another podcast. It's called
Yeah.
Normal Goes a Long Way. It is about
Mm.
my faith journey. I am
Mm.
working in ministry, and those
Yes.
things, I am like, "What in the world?" And so when I have guests on 2 Kids in a Career and there's God talk, it feels weird sometimes. But then what's
Yeah.
been really awesome is lately we've been able to use people like
Mm.
you and
Mm.
say, "You know what? You also have this story that belongs on Normal Goes a Long Way." And that's what's really cool. And that's what I'm loving is because people, it's just like the title. We want to know that we're just normal and
Mhm.
it's okay to be normal and a Christian. The 2 things can go hand in hand.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I just think that's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
you start to see the good, and I don't know, I just love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And and it's probably one of the biggest parts of our journeys, and as we've been reading, it leads us to very specific things, and quite honestly, it led us to the health phase of our life that we're in right now. And I us separately and us as a family and as a couple, we've always been into health, but the way that we're into our health now is more I don't even know the right word to explain it. It's like it's more wholesome, it's more holistic, it's more natural. It's not about, taking supplements and going to the grocery store and finding foods that are labeled as health foods. It's about literally going back to the Bible and learning what he gave us actually as nourishment for our bodies. And that has just that one little tidbit that we've read has brought us on such a curve of a journey. And there's actually this book that I wanted to share with you that I am currently obsessed with, and I learned it from someone else, and it's called Back to Eden.
Okay.
And this book is just chock full of health knowledge, and it talks about literally every single herb that we've been given, fruits, vegetables, what they're good for, how you can heal your body with them, and, how to properly be eating, because really, we don't learn any of this stuff. And when I learned actually that doctors probably get 2 hours worth of nutrition information in their schooling, it's like, I need to be learning this. I need to find where this information is. I can't rely on anybody else to teach it to me. And it's funny because I have this book and it's called Back to Eden, and we read every day, and there are very specific rules and things in there that tells you what you should be eating and what you shouldn't be eating. And it's not just because he gave us rules. It's for our health. It's for our well-being. So it's it's I just, like, you can tell I'm like speechless. I can't even give you the words to like what that means or how that feels once those dots connect for you.
The reason why I have reached out to you, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is because of honey. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Before I continue with this week's conversation, I want to talk to you about one of the sponsors of the podcast, Elemental Aesthetics. And one of the big things that we talk a lot about on the podcast is self care and self development. And sometimes you don't realize that that self care element comes from what may seem as a simple massage. It's true. When you take care of your body and your mind and you feel good, that's self care. And at Elemental Aesthetics, they have some really cool specials to help with that. And right now in May, you can get a back facial for only $100. You're like, wait, what's a back facial? Oh, it is something that most people don't even consider, and it is something that you should consider. So you can get that for $100 only in the month of May. And you can up your massage and your muscle pain relief. You can get cupping, you can get stones, CBD, or aromatherapy free with any massage. Elemental Aesthetics is really designed to help you and your self-care, your self-development, your overall well-being, and I encourage you to check them out. Elementalasthetics.com. Mention my name and you'll get a free little goodie bag for making an appointment with them. It's elementalasthetics.com. All right, back into this week's conversation. One thing that, and this goes back to the whole social media thing, is having been a follower of yours, it is very easy to be like, oh, she's doing all this all natural stuff. It comes so easy to her. She knows what she's doing. And I think, I don't remember how long ago it was where you posted what you mentioned, the supplements. If you're doing this, if you're doing that, you're doing that. You don't need to if you start eating this way. And this isn't you trying to sell stuff. You're just talking about the foods that are right in front of us, the herbs that are in front of us that we have access to. But you said, and I'm paraphrasing, like, this did not happen overnight. And I think so many times I do that to myself where I'm like, oh, they just grew up that way and it's just been easy and they know what they're doing. And I try to do it and I'm like half in, half out. But when you say it took a while, that's what gives me hope.
Yes. And that's what I want. It's funny because I was like, knowing kind of what we were going to talk about, I was like, what is something that I really want people to walk away with from this conversation? And one of the big things was start little. You do not have to transform your life overnight, because I did not transform my life overnight. This is years of me learning information, and piece by piece, because let's be real. I used to have a podcast that I was like constantly doing. I have a job. I am married. I have a daughter. I'm a busy lady. So I'm not sitting here reading, books nonstop, like trying to cram my brain with all the information I need. And then I'm like, I'm going to clean my whole house out today, and tomorrow I'm going to start fresh. It doesn't work that way. And I think the important thing is to have the motivation to even start with something small. Like my journey of becoming healthy started with trying to make my house a little less non-toxic. And initially, I had no idea that my house was toxic. So it started with one thing, and it was making my own face wash. That's how I started. And from that, I learned something else. And then I did a little research on that. And then from that, I learned another something else. And it just became a natural progression. And I think once you have it in your mind that you're going to start looking for something, or you want to learn about something, it starts coming to you. And you learn one thing, and then something else gets brought to you. And it just becomes the overall journey. So do not stress. That's like the big thing. You just want people to understand. It's like, don't stress about it. You can't change everything overnight. It doesn't work that way. Nothing works that way.
Oh, and so I guess then I will actually pat myself on the back and say that ever since I saw the honey post, I mean,
Yeah,
and probably a few days later, because I had to get all the stuff, I have been doing it every night. And
that's amazing.
I've been telling people about it too. And I told my mom, and so I know, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but I think you might understand once I say it. But when I was making it and I had it made, and then I was showing my mom, I said, Mom, I just I can't wait to start this, or I've been doing this, and I printed out your recipe from Instagram, and I
Mm-hmm.
had
Yeah.
in my cookbook, and I'm like, look at all of these things. Like, look at what this spice does and what this spice does. And I said, I know you're gonna think like I'm a hippie and all that. And she surprisingly was like, actually, no, we are, you are starting to see that this is the way to go, that this is what we've been missing in our lives. And I then was talking to someone that I work with at the church, and I'm like, gosh, we really have taken for granted these amazing herbs and spices that have been given to us, that back in the old days, they weren't using it just to spice up their food. There was like a reason behind it. And I feel like we're starting to come back to that slowly but surely, where it's not like a hippie thing. Um, and my other
Yeah.
thing is the garlic and the honey. And you have me fermenting garlic now. And I never thought I would do that. But I have
Yeah.
from a individual who is a friend of mine who is um, vegetarian, and she had told me about the amazing properties of garlic. Like I'm not going to get it right. You might know better than me, but she's like, yeah, if you're going to use garlic in your food, cut it about 5 minutes before you go to use it or something along those lines, because it's released these, I don't know, enzymes or whatever to help against cancer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
Yes.
nobody teaches you these things. And
Well, that's the scary thing. Like, and I'm not going to get into like conspiracies and stuff like that, but I will say, but I will say that our world has become 100% about convenience. It's been 100% about slap a band-aid on the problem and let's hope that that fixes it, and not really learning how to be healthy and holistic in the first place. It's the medical world has gotten so big, medication has gotten so huge, that we've learned that that convenience of just taking something when we don't feel good, as opposed to let's maintain a healthy diet so that we don't get sick, has become what the whole world is about. And so then you get people who start sharing information like, I don't want to be taking this. And, a lot of the information that I have learned throughout this whole journey is the negative effects that a lot of ingredients and products have on our bodies. And that is what I started learning in the very beginning of my journey, where I was trying to become like a quote unquote non-toxic household. And it was like, well, what am I putting on my skin? What am I putting in my body? What actually are those ingredients? And actually starting to pay attention to those types of things. And when you start doing that, you start learning very quickly what to avoid. And when you say, okay, well, I don't want that, what are the alternatives? Then you start finding like the honey recipe I shared, and fermenting garlic in honey, and what all of these natural herbs do. Pepper is not just for putting on my food for seasoning. Salt is not just for putting on my food for seasoning. It actually helps to hydrate me. There's so many things. Like, I could probably talk to you for 3 or 4 hours about all of these things. And which can be the overwhelming part for people. So I try to just be like, okay, let's just start small, because I definitely get excited talking about it. And it's like, oh, you could try this. Oh, do you want to try this? Well, maybe try to avoid that, and it's like, okay, let me just keep my mouth quiet for a second. Okay. Ingest the one thing I told you.
okay,
It's,
so if
yeah.
you're going to say start small, like I know I already chose my
Mm,
small, which is the honey recipe, which by the way, we will have
yes.
it in the show notes. Don't you worry. But what
Yes.
else? What would you say? Would it be based on what that person's looking for in their life?
I think so, because, for some people, making your own products can seem overwhelming. And um, I think there definitely has to be a certain mind frame shift for someone to also start this journey where they want to do it. Because you can share all the information and you can be as excited about it as you want, but if someone doesn't want to do it, they're just not going to do it. So for someone who, like, I'll use this as an example, says, I'm realizing that maybe some of the products I'm using for cleaning in my house are toxic, or I'm learning that the face lotion or the soap that I'm getting has a particular ingredient in it that I shouldn't be using. And then that will prompt me to say, well, you could start small and make your own face wash. You could start small and, make this kind of face lotion. And by just giving them one thing to do. And then when they confidently do that, they go, oh, this isn't so hard. Oh, I can do this. What else can I change? And I think it's just that one thing that they might be interested in, that you have to give them that little vote of confidence where they go, this is easy. This really isn't that hard. And then that helps them to say, what else can I do? And then they take those baby steps, because that's exactly what I did. I started with one thing and I went, oh, this is easy. Oh, this isn't that hard. Oh, I only need a couple things. Okay, let me just have those couple things in my house and then I can use this. And then I find out I can use those couple things for like 10 other things.
Right.
And you go, oh, wow, this is super easy. I can do it.
Yeah. I mean, the honey thing is so
Yeah.
super easy. It's just starting. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of starting. And I think
That's it.
the hardest thing is actually going and buying this stuff, honestly.
Yes. And, you know, I laugh because I talk to my mom and I'll say, guess what I learned today? And, you know, obviously I'm going to my mom because it's my mom. And I'm like, guess what I learned today? I'm still like a little kid, you know? And I'm like, did you know this? Did you know this? And the other day my mom was telling me how her knee was bothering her. And there is this amazing woman, and I would tell literally every single person who is listening to go on YouTube and search for this woman's name, the amount of videos that will pop up, and the information she provides is priceless. Her name is Barbara O'Neill, and she teaches you how to use things in your kitchen, natural remedies, to heal yourself. And she actually has a health retreat that you can pay to go to, where her staff will literally feed you, teach you, and help to heal you. And this is like, people with all kinds of ailments go there. Maybe people who just want to learn health and be healthier go there. People who found out they have cancer go there. And you can find these simple remedies in her YouTube videos. She's amazing. She uses onion. She uses potato. Like, you would think, what the heck is that going to do? And guess what? It works, because I've tried it on my daughter and it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have a potato. I have an onion. Like, why were we not taught this stuff in school? So yeah, for anybody who would love to hear about these, you know, what a lot of people might think sounds crazy, like home remedies, Barbara O'Neill is who you want to go look up on YouTube. She's amazing. I love her.
Well, I will definitely do that. And I will also put that in the show notes. And that is so weird that you mentioned the onion, because that same conversation I had with my mom about this honey, she said, oh, you know, I don't even remember the book. She goes, I'm reading this like book, and it's based in the Civil War, and they talk about using an onion to help, you know, cure this or help with this and all that. And I was like, I've heard the same thing, but not like, I didn't know the exact details. So it's so crazy that you mentioned that too. This is like, listen to us, our moms.
I know, right? Listen, mom never fails. Mom never fails. You know, and the thing that I love about, I'll say about Barbara O'Neill is, in these videos, she doesn't just post like these 5-minute videos where she touches on it and then she moves on. She gives you the full details. She explains to you why it's good, what it's doing. She shows you exactly how to do it. And, you know, like, she uses this term, which I'd never heard before. And I was like, what? Now I'm entering like a different world, but it's really not that. She's like, oh, we're going to make a potato poultice. And I was like, what the heck is a poultice?
Yeah,
like, okay. Where am I going right now? What am I learning? But she literally just grates that she told this, I have to tell you this, she told this amazing story, and you can find it in one of these videos, but she talks about, you know, she lived on like this farmland in Australia, and this guy cut his foot, and she was talking about how she healed tetanus. Now, we're taught here, you know, and the general public knows that, oh my gosh, tetanus is so serious, you can die within minutes. You know, this is what we're told. And you need these tetanus shots, and, you know, you have to go to the doctor for it. That's the only way you're going to be saved by this. And she tells this amazing story with a potato poultice, okay, which is just shaved potato in this little pouch put on this guy's foot. He was saved from tetanus. And I was like, that's it. I'm sold. I love her. She's amazing. I'm going to do whatever she says. Like, I couldn't even believe it. And just, she shares these amazing stories and you just go, wow. So you got to look her up. She's just, and the way she explains things, it's so, like, you could listen to her voice all day. And just, she very methodically explains it and very slow and just, and this is how it is. And this is how you do it, and nice and slow. And it's like, you walk away going, I can definitely do this. Like, anybody can do this. So
there's hope. All right.
Yes.
Well, do you have like recipes and stuff on your blog? Is that how people could learn more? What do you got?
So I've started putting up a lot of videos. I definitely have to, I'm going to start adding actual articles to my blog now. But right now I just started putting up reels on my Instagram because I wanted to see, like, are people even interested in this? Should I be sharing this? Because one of my big things is I don't want to start sharing information that I know nothing about. And it took me a long time to start sharing even like the thing that you saw, because I was like, what if people start asking me questions and I don't want to look like an idiot? Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know what this does. I just saw it on TikTok and now I'm doing it. Like, because there's a lot of that too, where people start sharing stuff, and I've definitely done it where I'm like, wow, that's really amazing. And I reach out to them and I like start asking questions, like they know about it. And they're like, oh, I don't know, And so I want to be looked at not as someone who's just kind of like regenerating content to share and like, oh, it's healthy because I saw someone said it was healthy. I want to be able to provide people with helpful information. So I kind of started doing the reels and seeing if anybody was even interested. And clearly people are, because I have been getting like a lot of messages. They're like, wow, I didn't know you could do this. Wow, I didn't know about this. So I was like, okay, I need to start sharing more about this. So I am going to be writing up more articles about it and sharing there as well. But right now, if people want to go look at stuff, they can head to my Instagram and see the videos of how to make the stuff. And I give some more information. And I think that's the best thing to do.
And not me. Tell the listener your Instagram handle.
Sure. It's coffee_cupcakes_kids.
Alycia, I just am so impressed with this and this whole conversation. It's just been like, things have just matched up and it's been so cool. And I don't know, I can definitely foresee another conversation or two or three in the future, because you are doing, because I don't like to do all the research. I just want you to tell me and explain it and know that you're legit and it's okay. Like, I'm that person that shares all this and says, I don't know, just do it. But I trust you. So I am just very thrilled that God even put you in my life a long time ago. And now here you are. So thank you so much for coming on. And like I said, I'll have everything on the show notes. And just, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I could literally sit here and chat with you for hours. I love it.
And before I say goodbye on this week's episode, a reminder to check out Elemental Esthetics. They really are here to help you with your self-care. And one of the ways that you can do that, because listen, it is very easy for us to say, oh yeah, I'll book that massage. And then you book it and then you forget to keep booking it because you want a continuous booking to really help you. They have membership options where you get to pick certain services at a discounted price. So take a look at that at elementalasthetics.com. And when you make your appointment, which you can do via text, you can schedule it online, you can call. All of the information is at elementalasthetics.com. Mention my name and you'll get a free little goodie bag just for calling and making that appointment appointment or texting or scheduling online. Again, it's elementalaesthetics.com. And if we're talking about websites, we got to talk about my website, jilldevine.com. You can go there for some blogs like different spring cleaning tips or DIY or all kinds of other great things. Also, that's where you will find every single episode of Two Kids and a Career. As always, thank you for your support of Two Kids and a Career, and thanks for listening.